Sometimes it's all about the environment and your desire to grow and excel. And it's almost like Einstein said, my environment is everything, it's not me. So success ultimately comes down to two things, you and your environment. Now, often after people hear my story and they discover that I spent much of my young life growing up in a government housing project, sitting at the table with organized criminals, number runners, alcoholics, drug dealers, and abusers, they often say, Ernie, how did you make it out of that environment? And when they find out that I grew up in a household where domestic violence was the rule, not the exception, and they see that I understand personally how adultery rips apart families, and they hear how I served as the first responder and witness to the vicious attempted murder and brutal stabbing of my own mother at the young age of 9, they say, Ernie, how did you escape that environment? You see, friends, there are millions of men, women, and children living in environments very similar to the one I grew up in. And there are millions of people who want to help them escape. And I'm talking about you. So anytime I get to answer that question, I simply say, be that positive influence in the environment and help people to thrive in their current surroundings, or help them to find the courage and ability to change their environment and grow. And if you're doing it right now and it seems like it's not working, have faith, stick to it, and help guide them in a better direction. You see, the positive people in our environments help us to thrive and grow in amazing ways. Let me give you an example. I remember when I was about 6, 7 years old. There was an old man who hung out at my grandmother's liquor house, Mr. Woodrow. And all I know is that Mr. Woodrow had a whole lot of money. And every day I came home from school, he would always ask me how I did and whether or not I got a star, a smiley face, or something like that on the teacher's board. And if I got a good grade, he'd give me a nickel, a quarter, or a dollar, and send me off to buy something special and nice. You see, Mr. Woodrow was one of the most positive academic influences I ever had. And because of him, my daughter attends one of the top universities in America. Unfortunately, he died or disappeared before I finished the 2nd grade. And unfortunately for me, there wasn't anybody else like Mr. Woodrow. So around the 2nd or 3rd grade, I started to look for other positive influences in my environment. And from a young age, I wanted to win. I had my eyes on the prize. And I like to have nice things, clothes, toys, all of that, right? And like many kids, I didn't like being told no. So me being me, I devised a plan, recruited a team, and followed the example of some of the best neighborhood shoplifters to ever enter the front doors of my grandmother's liquor house. You see, friends, our environment has a large influence on who we become, what we achieve, and how we view ourselves and the rest of the world. But here's what I learned. Number 1, crime doesn't pay, and it's not the environment that you or I would willingly live in. Now, luckily for me, and possibly you, some real positive people, Mr. and Mrs. Edwina Cook, called me to the table one afternoon. They had me sit on the opposite side of the table, and they proceeded to motivate and influence me to get back on track before I ruined my life forever. And with their help, here's what I discovered, friends. I discovered that if you try to change yourself and not your environment, your growth will be slow and very difficult. And as a result, your success will be limited. And if you change your environment but not yourself, your growth will be slow, but maybe just a little less difficult. And your success will be a little less limited. But here's what I really discovered. If you change your environment and intentionally work to grow and become the best you that you can be, your growth will be faster and more successful. And as a result, you can change your life in amazing ways. And you can even become a positive influence in the lives of others. And if you can become a positive influence in the lives of others, you can help others to see the best in themselves and their surroundings. And you can help others to change their lives and the lives of others forever. Now, how would you like to do that? Follow me. Let's go.